Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. The first top 25 of the offseason. That is right. College football is underway, and you know it when we get our first top 25. On Monday, the coaches poll was released. Next week, we'll get the AP, and it will be full speed ahead from there. What I want to do, just spend a little time talking about this coaches poll. Now, I know a lot of you transparently probably have never heard me talk college football. We've had thousands of new subscribers since the start of really, college basketball, March, April, portal season. Torres talks a lot of college football. I got a lot of takes. And so what I want to do is just spend a few minutes talking about this top 25, the teams that I think are frankly a little bit overrated and a little bit underrated. Before we get to the overrated, underrated, just very quickly, Texas coming in at number 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4, Notre Dame 5, Clemson 6, Oregon 7, Alabama 8, LSU 9, Miami 10. You could go back and look at the rest. We're not going to go through all 25 teams. Those are the top 10. I have one team that I believe even in the top 10 is underrated. So let's get into the most overrated and underrated teams of the first AP poll. Let's start with a little bit of a surprise, maybe. Number 8, the Alabama Crimson Tide, I actually believe are slightly underrated at number 8. Now, to be clear, this isn't the most egregious ranking in the history of polling here. And transparently, I think Alabama fans maybe are enjoying coming into the season a little bit under the radar. For so many years, the spotlight has been squarely on them. Now you get to kind of quietly come in, quietly, everybody's talking about Texas and Arch and Georgia and this and that. You just get to focus on football and be full speed ahead with the season ahead and with football. So in terms of why I think they're overrated, a couple things. One, I just think the offense is going to be better this year. Statistically, they were fine. They actually scored quite a bit last year, top 30 in scoring offense. But statistically, they also weren't great when Jalen Milroe was not just running all over people. Go back to all the big games. The games that they won, Georgia, Jalen Milroe was unbelievable. LSU, Jalen Milroe was unbelievable. The games that they lost, Oklahoma, kind of figured out you slow down Jalen Milroe, you can stop to Alabama, Tennessee, kind of the same. And so I just bring it up because I think this offense is going to be more dynamic. Ryan Grubb, remember, is coming in as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. He was with the Seattle Seahawks last year. He was Kalen DeBoer's right-hand man. He stayed in Seattle to coach the Seahawks after Kalen DeBoer left for Alabama. And I just think transparently that it is going to be a much better offense, even if Ty Simpson, who we expect to be the starting quarterback, is nothing official at this point, even if Ty Simpson isn't the elite of the elite of the elite as far as an athlete like Jalen Milroe is concerned. The other thing, I don't think people realize this, the defense was actually pretty good. As a matter of fact, let's take that back. They weren't pretty good. They were very good once they got past basically about the 4th, 5th game of the year. They give up 34 in that win to Georgia. They give up 40 in the loss to Vandy. Then how about this? The final, 9 games of the season, if you include a bowl game, 8 games of the season, if you include the bowl game, they did not give up more than 25 points in any of those games. And a lot of those games, they didn't even give up, basically 2 touchdowns, right? Held Missouri to 0 points, LSU 13 points, Auburn 14 points. So 3 of their wins from October 1st on in the SEC came when they gave up under 14 points. So I just bring it up. I think the defense is really good. I think the offense is going to be improved. The schedule, listen, no SEC team has an easy schedule, but you do get Tennessee and LSU at home. You have to go to Georgia. That's brutal. We know that. No Texas. That's the good news. Oklahoma, you get at home as well. I'd add South Carolina is going to be tough on the road, but I'm a little bit down on South Carolina, as we'll discuss in a minute. But Alabama, to me, is a little bit underrated at number 8. Number 12, you know who I think is wildly overrated? the Illinois Fighting Illini. And listen, we've done this, over and over again. I've been covering college sports for a long time. And the one thing I could tell you is pretty straightforward, is that if a team is coming off of a good season and they have a coach that and a quarterback that generally they're a little bit overrated coming into the season. I think that's the case with Illinois. Listen, Illinois was a great story last year, but let's call a spade a spade. You look back and a couple things stand out. First of all, I don't know, this is something that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about, because Illinois, by the way, they are that team that is getting the, they're this year's Indiana off the radar to the college football playoff. Well, first of all, if you're ranked in the top 15 in the preseason poll, you can by definition not be this year's Indiana, because nobody saw Indiana coming. Nobody had them in their top 15 last year. But two, if you actually go back and look at Illinois, a couple things stand out. 9 wins last year. But 9 wins in the regular season, 10 wins overall. What was their best win, though? Got destroyed by Oregon, lost to Penn State. No shame in those losses. But what was their best win? Was it a really bad Michigan team that didn't have a quarterback, that was so bad at quarterback they just paid $12 million to a high school player, Bryce Underwood, to get him to campus? That's probably their best win of the regular season. They do beat South Carolina in the bowl game. But take out the South Carolina win, there just isn't a lot on that resume. The other two things that stand out is, one, like I said, I think we always default to the team with the quarterback and coach that we know. Illinois kind of lost a lot. Best running back, gone. Best wide receiver, gone. Basically the entire defensive line, or at least the guys that were productive, gone. And so they lose more than I think a lot of people realize. I'm not sold on the resume they put together. The other thing, too, I was thinking about with Illinois, what did they do great last year? I went back and looked this up because I was like, am I crazy? Am I missing something? You know that Illinois was not top 30 nationally last year in scoring offense, total defense, scoring defense, okay? To me, what that means, they weren't great at anything. They were pretty good. I don't even know what they hang their hat on. So I could go on and on. I do think the one thing that is sort of advantageous to Illinois, they do have, by Big Ten standards, a pretty manageable schedule. This is a team that does not play Oregon, does not play Penn State throughout this season. They do have to play Ohio State. I think, to me, kind of the game that's going to define them, you got to win at Indiana. If you're a legitimate top 15 team, you have to win at Indiana. They also have a trip to Washington later in the year. So listen, the schedule is manageable, but I don't love this team. I think they're a little bit overrated. I have Illinois as overrated. Let's keep it going. A couple other overrated, underrated teams. Overrated, in my opinion, South Carolina Gamecocks, 1 spot behind Illinois in the polls at number 13. So listen, the South Carolina story was incredible. And by the way, South Carolina fans, if you're looking for a saving grace, I wasn't really that excited about them at this time last year, so they proved me wrong. But they get those 9 wins. And to their credit, they were great the back half of the season. 6 games in a row to end the regular season, victories at Oklahoma, victory over Missouri, victory over Texas A&M on that great Saturday night. Easily could have, maybe should have beat Alabama. I guess my concerns with South Carolina are a few things. One, defense basically lost everybody except Dylan Stewart. Now, Dylan Stewart's a good guy to have on that team. Don't get me wrong, potential first-team All-American. But they lost 6 guys off of that defense that were all in the NFL draft. So all their best players off of defense. And South Carolina just does not strike me as the kind of team that can just replace body over body over body the way that an Illinois can, or the way that, an Illinois can, the way that a Georgia can, the way that Alabama can, whatever. The other thing with South Carolina, they do have a pretty tough schedule. Again, I know with the SEC, everybody to some degree has a tough schedule, but here are South Carolina's games, okay? Among their notable games, at Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, at LSU. Those are 3 teams that are all in the top 20 of this poll, okay? At LSU, at Texas A&M, at Ole Miss. Those are all very good teams. And then, oh, by the way, here's the home schedule. Alabama at home. We also have, on top of that, we also have Clemson at home to end the regular season. You have an Oklahoma team at home to end the regular season that's improved as well. Tripping over my own words here. I don't know why I'm tripping over my own words. The point I'm trying to make, those are 6 brutal games, okay? And listen, again, everybody in the SEC has tough schedules. I get it. But again, Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma at home, at LSU, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M. That's brutal. And I just don't know if they're going to have the guys and the bodies to withstand that schedule. So hopefully they prove me wrong. Be a great story if they could be in that playoff conversation again in late October, early November, mid-November. I just don't know that I see it. Let's keep it going with the overrated, underrated. You know what I actually think is a little bit underrated? The Tennessee Volunteers. Okay, so Tennessee comes in at number 18 in this coaches poll. And let me say this, like, it just feels like to me, and I think to a degree I get it, just feels like everyone's kind of just put aside Tennessee after Nico Iamaleava left in the offseason. Here's a little secret that every Tennessee fan knows. Nico was not really the reason that Tennessee won 10 games last year and made the college football playoff. It was Dylan Sampson in the run game. It was the defense. Well, the good news is the defense returns quite a bit off that roster from a year ago. So that's important. They return a ton off that defense. The run game, let's also remember this, top 4 in the SEC all 4 years that Josh Heupel has been there. We actually talked about this a few weeks ago at Media Days because Heupel was asked about Nico. He said, listen, we love Nico, whatever. He said all the right things, but he also said we have been a team that has been able to run the ball since day one, and I'm just not that worried about our ability to do it going forward. So you look at Tennessee, their ability to run the ball. Joey Aguilar, I think, is going to be about as good as Nico, even if he's a half a step back. Again, I don't know that Nico was, in the grand scheme of the most important pieces on last year's playoff team, I don't know that Nico was at the top of that list. As a matter of fact, I'm certain he was not at the top of the list. Beyond just that, a couple other things on Tennessee. One, I think this is important, the schedule. Now, I know what a Tennessee fan will say. There is no schedule in America that includes Georgia at home, Alabama on the road, Florida on the road. That is easy. I get that, Tennessee fans. I understand what you're saying. I'll also say, compared to a lot of other SEC teams, pretty manageable. I was thinking about this. There are probably 4 teams in the SEC that I think would be considered the bottom, quote-unquote, tier of the league. Cover your ears. Vandy fans, Kentucky fans, Arkansas fans, Mississippi State fans. I would say those 4 teams are the teams that everyone perceives to be the bottom of the league. Is that fair? Is it not? I don't know. Tennessee, the only team in the SEC that has all 4 of those teams. That's literally half of the league schedule against the bottom of the league. You get Oklahoma at home. Oklahoma's good. We're going to talk about them in a second. But you get Oklahoma at home. Florida, listen, we don't wish ill will or injuries upon anybody. DJ Lagway is out of that walking boot, but I think it's fair to question how healthy he can stay over the course of the year. I think Tennessee is going to be better than people expect. I think they're going to be in the playoff race throughout the season. Let's keep it going with a couple other teams that are actually not in the poll, so I guess by definition I would say are underrated. First one's the Oklahoma Sooners. And listen, Oklahoma, there's been a lot of ink on Oklahoma football over the course of this offseason, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them here. We all know the deal. 6-7 a year ago. That's not the standard. They go out. Ben Arbuckle's the new offensive coordinator, comes from Washington State. He brings John Mateer, his starting quarterback, with him. Bottom line, what you need to know, Mateer, really good. As a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people talk about him as a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think it was Chris Doering, I want to say, on SEC Network actually picked John Mateer to win the Heisman Trophy. The other thing with Oklahoma, that offense has to be just a little bit better than it was. It doesn't have to be great. I don't think people realize this. Oklahoma had a top 20 defense a year ago. The issue was the offense couldn't stay on the field. It couldn't stop turning the ball over. So if you're just a little bit better on offense, I think you're significantly better as a team. I think Oklahoma should be rated. I think they should be ranked in the top 25, to be honest. I think it is a grave mistake not having Oklahoma there. Another team that I believe is not only underrated, but is unranked and needs to be, the Louisville Cardinals. Now, part of this is just a flat-out bet on Jeff Brom. These are Jeff Brom's last 3 years, okay? 2 years at Louisville, back-to-back 9-win seasons. Not sure if you heard, that's pretty good. 2 different quarterbacks. I think that's noteworthy as well. By the way, let's call it what it is. Tyler Shuck went from injury-riddled dude who couldn't stay on the field to a second-round pick who is going to start in the NFL draft. There's no one to give credit to on that other than Jeff Brom, and obviously to a degree Tyler Shuck for working hard. But Tyler Shuck was just left, I hate to be rude, but left on the scrap heap until Jeff Brom got a hold of him. Well, now You have Miller Moss, who I think could be better than Tyler Shuck. I'm not a Tyler Shuck guy. I wouldn't have drafted him, period, let alone in the second round. But I think Miller Moss is going to be better. I trust Jeff Brom. I trust Jeff Brom with a new quarterback. By the way, what did he do before he got to Louisville? Oh, I don't know. Had Purdue playing for a Big Ten championship. Now, I understand this was, of course, the division era, the Big Ten East, the Big Ten West. It wasn't just the two best teams. He is an elite A++ coach. So to me, that is a team that should be ranked. That is a team that I would have in the top 25. And again, the overrated and underrated teams, in my opinion, Alabama at number 8 is underrated. We have Illinois at number 12, overrated. South Carolina at 13, overrated. Tennessee at 18, underrated. Oklahoma and Louisville, unranked. And they should be. So by definition, that means they are underrated.